Hi, good evening. I hope things are going well as we wind up in the last quarter of the class or so. Before I started the talk tonight, I'm going to talk a little bit about writing and add on to what Graves says. I just wanted to remind you that with the projects coming up in week 12, to please log on and look at those project requirements and make sure that both for your case study student, the assessment portfolio that you're building, that you overview what are the requirements for that assignment and ask any questions you have, and also please read over the lesson plan project overview so that and arrange for a time when you can do a lesson in your class in the next week or two so that you have time to write it up and turn that in. All right, well, good evening. I'm going to talk about a topic that I'm really excited about, and that is how to integrate some of Graves' ideas about writing into your own classroom. The first thing that I really want to underscore that he starts his chapter off with was the reading and writing connection. It's really essential when you think about writing and how to tie it to reading that you understand that both of these processes are meaning-making processes, meaning that the brain's cognitive work while a student is reading is that they are forming their own meaning as they read the text. And they're building that, of course, on their basis of vocabulary knowledge, of background knowledge, of all the connections that you as a teacher help them to make with that text. In the same way, writing as well is a meaning-making process. And so a lot of what I'm going to go over is based on that kind of that foundation. So one thing that I think is really important that Graves doesn't talk so much about, and I would emphasize this a lot, especially for the single subject teachers, middle school and high school teachers who are teaching science, history, English. I want you to think about the fact that writing should be based on evidence. And what I like to do with my students is to have them look at, rather than texts at the beginning of the class, actually look at images and have them look at pictures that I pull and project for them. And then I give them prompts for them to respond to think in writing about a provocative image that I've given, an image that they're familiar with, but I want them to look deeper, like an advertisement they're used to seeing, and have them look at that and question its values. What I get out of that for them is that through writing they can understand and they can create meaning through their analysis of that. And the reason I say that is because I think that when we think about where does writing come into, especially a science and a history class, it's taking physical artifacts that you might be looking at in a lab, it's taking first primary source documents, and it's adding meaning or creating meaning through writing to those things. So I really encourage you to find non-text objects, realia, slideshows, things for students to respond to in writing, because I really want students to be seeing writing as this meaning-making process. I think also there's a lot of things that we do, especially for English language learners, that scaffold the writing process for them, that help students provide structure. But I like giving them informal assignments. Graves talks about the importance of informal assignments, informal writing assignments that help students to dive into thinking through writing. So that was the first thing that I really want to encourage you to do, is think of these low-stakes writing assignments that have students use writing to critically think about a topic.